This week we're going to go on another archaeological dig through the Twitter sphere to showcase an example of another abuse of the lexicon of identitarianism, with specific attention to that of the words feminism and all variant parts of speech related to feminism.
No.
You have been warned. Let the demonetization process begin! I have the definition of feminism in 3 variations from 3 various fields for reasons of complete and utter comprehension. Yes, thank you very much. Self-pat on the back. So, we'll be starting out with the dictionary definition of feminism, which is that the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. And then we'll move on to the sociological definition, which is this: observes gender in its relation to power, both at the level of face-to-face interaction and flexibility within a social structure at large. At the core, feminist sociology is the idea of the systemic oppression of women and the historical dominance of men within most societies. Patriarchy. And then we'll move on to the ideological definition, my friends. This includes seeking to establish educational and professional opportunities for women that are equal to those for men. Now, it is important that we take note of the fact that each definition holds on to the women's and assumed default position of lesser to that of what they are attempting to become equal to, men. So, yeah, take note. I'm serious. Don't just sit there all lazy looking at me like you won't be quizzed on this later in the video. You won't. I'm that lazy too. Now, in my day-to-day perusal of the internet web at large, I have come across a phenomena I will endeavor to describe to you through a series of Twitter screenshots. The phenomena itself is called, as I have penned it, the feminist-centric theory, so named because it has been observed through a careful, meticulous, scientific methodology. And by careful, scientific, and meticulous methodology, I mean I just Twitter advanced search the phrase feminist issue. And by I am referring to it was mostly a thing that a friend of mine, Quill, did for me while I was too busy arguing with, comprehension-challenged numbskulls on Twitter, who shall not be named, and warding off the sexual advances of Shakespearean erotic writers. Yeah. Good times. The feminist-centric theory states that feminism assumes its placement at the center of all issues, real or imaginary, legitimate and non. This is admittedly a bold claim, I am aware, but I have the science to back it up. I swear. So we went back about 2-ish years. I don't have a specific time frame. Yes, I know, that's very scientific, Weebo. Sue me. 2 years. Ish. And I screenshotted a fuck ton of tweets that referred to articles that had the phrase a feminist issue in them. In some cases you see the screenshot, in others you see the article itself, if it was one of those shortened URLs that didn't embed the article in the tweet automatically, yeah. So that's why you see a difference sometimes. Then I split them into categories, those categories being feminist issues that aren't actually feminist issues, or feminist, or an issue at all for that matter. People just need reasons to complain because first world grande caramel no whip soy milk substitute problemos won't cut it. But that was too long of a file name, so let's just call it the feminist issues that never were. And in the spirit of naming things long and robustly, the second category was things that are actually feminist issues, which you know to be true because it involves shit like the actual infringement of women's rights on the simple basis that they have uteri. Uteruses. Uteri? Again, that was way too long of a file name to fit. So we're calling it actual feminist issues. And then the third category that I've sorted all of these images into is things that have fuck all to do with the women's, and that one actually did fit in the file name, so we're keeping it as is. No fuss, no muss, I say. I'm a simple woman. I like simple things. So, starting at the top, we'll work our way down, from category 1 to category 3. Category 1, the feminist issues that never were. I have a list of screenshots ranging from troglodyte to numbskull in a rank order of mine own assembly, specifics of which you don't really need to know because they're completely arbitrary, and we will go in the rank order starting at Numbskull and working our way down to Troglodyte. Never watched an award show, so I have no frame of reference. We're just gonna wing it. Now, for disclaimer purposes, it should be noted that all of this analysis is completely surface level, and I have not read any of the articles to determine their logic as to why they say things that are stupid or referred to as a feminist issue. I'm simply noting the fact that they've attached the word feminist onto various things that it has absolutely no business being attached to. In short, this is a joke. Get over yourself. Because apparently I need to say that. Otherwise, people won't get that it's a joke. Ranked 22, we have an illness that nearly exclusively affects those in positions of female reproductive systems attempting to feign dichotomic capabilities. Endometriosis is a feminist issue, ladies and gentlemen, not a medical one. Who would have thunk it? Body positivity is up next in spot number 21, and much like your girlfriend when you kids are figuring out where you want to eat, body positivity has an inability to decide for itself. Are sexy fun times objectifying or empowering? Who the fuck knows? I don't. And speaking of sexy time fun, number 20 gives you the birds and the bees on why sex ed is in fact a feminist issue. How about that for Sex Plus, babes? In 19th place, we have the mother of all feminist issues, adoption, because what's more feminist than raising a kid that no one wants? And speaking of how caregiving feminists are, have I mentioned number 18, dementia, caregiving? Yes, one of the biggest feminist issues of our time, the informal caregiving gap, is our modern day voting rights, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is. Now, you'll find yourself utterly delighted to know that this is a comprehensive, all-inclusive list where anger, the emotion, takes 17th place on this list, fitting considering women score higher when it comes to neuroticism. Now, on an unrelated note, the first colonizers might have been cis white Englishmen, if you ignore the fact that it had been a much older practice to send your people off to foreign lands to do your bidding from afar than the limited scope presented by diversity classes in university will have you believe. But you'll be happy to know that across London they're working on a plan of action to colonize affordable land for the women's. And it is number 16 on our list of feminist issues. And number 15 on our list, did you know that there is actually a gun violence gap? Yes, I'm afraid that the majority of shooters are in fact males. We need to close that gap post-haste, women. You know what has to happen. I'm afraid so. Get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Number 14 on our list is Brexit, which I couldn't come up with a quippy one-liner announcer joke for, so we're just going to play a laugh track in the background for a solid 5 seconds while I stone face it. Catalonia and gay rights are absolutely a feminist issue, and they fall as number 13 on this list of 22 feminist issues that actually weren't. Don't ask me how, they just are, and you're going to have to accept that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as if the video weren't already full of nuclear hot takes, here's one that just takes the cake. Quite literally, I'm not even kidding. Number 12 is nukes. Then we have the 11th place, universal basic income, because an issue for the platform that is literally defined as the advocacy of women's rights needs to address universal basic income. Wrap your mind around that one. Which brings us to number 10, which means that we're at the top 10. And thank God we're more than halfway done with this list because I'm already starting to get, a little bit. Number 10, my friends, is fashion, a feminist issue of epic apple-bottom proportions, somehow. Number 9, privacy settings. You know those things you adjust yourself in your phone app? Yeah, total feminist issue. Number 8, fitness. You thought thigh gaps were a problem? The fitness gap will have you devouring Ben & Jerry's faster than I can say. Tess Holiday. Number 7, speaking of stuffing your face, did you know that being fat is also a feminist issue? Who would have thunk it? Of course. Speaking of Tess Holiday. And yes, I'm aware that being fat can be caused by uncontrollable illness or disease and or unhealthy eating, but, no one ever addresses that, so we're just going to pretend it's uncontrollable illness and or disease. But that's why I included this next one on the list, an actual fat disease that is the essence of feminist issues Don't you know? Get with the program. Now we've come to the final 5. And we have reached peak troglodyte levels, fully crowned and ready to push out. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I am already sick and tired of this. Number 5 is cycling, a feminist issue, because that bike certainly did not ask consent to be touching you in your no-do square, ladies. No, it did not. Hashtag me too. Now, let's just extend that last category, topic, thing, whatever it is we're calling it now, to all modes of travel, why don't we? Especially walking. We can't have that. Might have someone say hello to you on the street for no reason. No, we're not done. Not done at all. Sleep. Sleep is a feminist issue. Guys, sleep. That thing that you're probably doing right now because you're bored and women aren't funny is a feminist issue. Incidentally, the comedy gap was not a feminist issue that I came across. But you know what is a feminist issue? Pockets. Pockets are a feminist issue, and I can tell you why. It is because of the megalodon of troglodyte feminist issues. My dudes, category topic number 1, the winner of this Oscar, goes to, drumroll please, lip gloss. You can't have lip gloss if you don't have pockets, ladies and gentlemen. A travesty in its own right, and obviously the makeup gap is expansive. Did you guys know that on average women spend exponentially more on makeup than do their male counterparts? This is a social injustice and needs rectification post-haste. Ow, fuck. But, ladies and gentlemen, our next category, actual feminist issues, is stark in terms of the difference between the first category and the second category. And by stark, I mean it has a single nominee in contrast to the last category. Let's be honest, doesn't even remotely hold a candle to any of the plethora of 22 pressing social issues I presented you with just moments ago. Just mere moments ago. No, sorry. As I said before, we had only a single nomination in this category, and hence that means that by default the Oscar must go to fatwas in Saudi Arabia. Do I need to turn off my snarky sarcasm voice and explain to you why this is an actual feminist issue as opposed to the other 22 images I showed you, or is this actually already self-evident enough? Now, in all of my digging, this was the only legit feminist issue that could be found that I comprehended beyond a basic bitch level. It's best not to dwell on these things, though, ladies and gentlemen. It must not be that important of a feminist issue if the feminists don't really care about it. More than one article's worth of giving a shit. But that brings us to our final category, and that is things that have fuck all to do with the women's. Now, what could go into this category, you may be asking? Well, I may be responding with a few things. We have 5 nominees for this category, and in 5th place comes autism. That is a feminist issue. You know, that spectrum disorder that affects males more than females to varying ratios that range from 2:1 to 16:1? Yeah. Is this a gap that feminism wants to close? What are the goals here, feminism? Why is autism a feminist issue? Why are any of these feminist issues? I want to know, but I don't want to read about it. Because the moment I read about it, the moment I want to kill myself. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Carrying on into 4th place, speaking of feminist issues, you've heard of maternity leave. Well, get ready for paternity leave. The most feminist of feminist issues known to anyone who's ever femifisted a feminist femifish. Not to be confused with maternity leave or fraternity leave. It's completely separate issues. We might talk about them later, we might not. I haven't decided yet. In 3rd place, we have mental health. This is important because, as you know, men and women are under and overrepresented in certain areas, and on our quest for equality, that is an unacceptable injustice, difference, inequality. Because we're all about the equalities here, aren't we, ladies and gents? I think we are. We need to get the women's substance abuse and antisocial problem numbers up, and the male rates of anxiety and depression up as well if we are ever to have any hope of achieving equality of the sexes. And in second place, ladies and gentlemen, we have homelessness, the apex of all feminist issues, with a recent study publishing this year finding that there is actually no significant difference to be observed in the rate of homelessness between the genders. However, it should be noted that this study was done with a rather small portion of the population within an emergency department in Pennsylvania, so I'm not entirely sure as to the validity of it and or broad span applicability of it. In contrast, the overwhelming amount of meta-analyses on the subject indicates that single males comprise a majority of 51% of the entire homeless population. That's 51%, that is more than half, in case you were wondering. That's also a failing grade. Don't get 51% kids in school. Don't do it. I hear it's bad for you. Finally, coming in first place in category number 3 is suicide, a feminist issue that affects men 3.53 times more often than it does women. Having said that initially, I will acknowledge that women do attempt suicide at 1.2 times the rate of males. Their follow-through, however, is absolutely ghastly. Women, I award you 0 points. There will be no Oscar for the ladies in this category. Incompetence does not win you awards, people, just FYI. Success does. We live in a meritocracy. If you cannot successfully kill yourself, I will not and cannot, in good conscience, award you a prize whatsoever. No exceptions. I'm sorry, but I'm not. And with that, we're going to wrap this video up, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what I'm doing here, you can check out my links in the description to my Amazon, Patreon, and Teespring down below where my panties are. If you maybe don't like me that much, you can always like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, don't forget to hit that bell so you actually get notified of, me uploading shit, because YouTube absolutely hates everyone, especially people like me. Finally, if you want to see more of me, maybe not within the video capacity, I do an RPG-esque stream every Monday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Makarov, Morscar's channel, and a bi-weekly stream about the news, advice, the going-ons, and more, Sundays and Wednesdays from 7:30 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Some Dumb Americans channel. Links to both of their channels in the description. One last thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I almost forgot about this. This coming Friday, the 21st of September, I will be hosting the second Roast of Weebo Jones, where I invite guests on to stream with me for 2 hours to insult the living daylights out of me, and the chat can partake as much as they want as well. It'll be fun, I hope. It was fun last time, it'll be fun this time. We're gonna go for about 2 hours, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, be there. Peace, bitches.